이제 다 믹스해 타와 토라 파주지 누가 저디 간단한데 뉴모 다 뉴모 반제 저체 아니 랑공이 이상가라 뉴모 반배 방과 탑지 타로 가르레 타워스나 뉴모 봐 거에 동일에 털바서 여러 근데 어디시요 데 뒤뒤니 이거지 봐시.
Right. So if we are looking at the state of liberation, well, how do we go about attaining the state of liberation? What are the practices we need to do? Well, we need to abandon the delusions, right? This liberation, this is how it comes about. What are we liberated from? We're liberated from our delusions. Once you have this freedom from delusions, that's when you could be said to have the state of liberation.
코와 수수 코와레 타바단 상단되는 디베어 말이다. 당기 시험을 하시면서 겨우마지 거든래요. 선제 단계. 수수 파마 신여요. 수수를 거리 침모 신여요. 된대 하고 있는데 수수 거리 침모 신여 이미도서. 그 동행냐데 아니 수수 대화로지 되는 되나 지금 말 수수 거리 진이 아마디 배 저거도 와샤 수수 칼라 신고 사대는 근데 미비 도자지 지그러면서 미하고도 들려 지금 알아. 당고 수수 파마를 칼라트려 보죠. 파마배 저거 또 샤스도 칼라 신고사된 대우 말아. 근데 미대니 근데 요는 미비 도자 다시로 미비랜데 무슨 가디나 30명 도자 지그러. 나랑 상은 미하고 시기 있어라. 미하고 전다 파마도 동네냐인데 버들래. 겨워지 지고도 다디 이거 가와도 상당히 다 산재 냐지는 산재마도 나는 디 심지지 변시도고요. 최상의 심지 탐지 동네세야 체도가 산재 고마토 지구도 상례우데 아니 교체보다 삼로배 야심으로서 하시나.
So now we talk about the great scope beings, and these beings are not interested merely in their own liberation, right? Because if we are interested only in liberation and we're not thinking about all our parents, our friends, our family members and so forth, right? If we just safely forget about them, then this is pretty wrong kind of behavior. Because like, for example, if you were, if your mother was basically hungry or starving and you just sat there eating, right, in front and not really, we're just not concerned about, your mother being hungry, then, you'd think that was a pretty, not a great person, right? Like that's pretty, you'd have to be pretty messed up to be like thinking like that, right? And we don't want to be this type of people. We want to be positive people. So therefore, it's not enough just to think about our own liberation. We need to be concerned about the happiness of all beings who've been our mothers and our fathers and so forth, like that, right? So this way, when we think about that, then we think, well, how do we actually benefit these beings? It's only through attaining the state of full enlightenment. Only like as a fully enlightened being would we have this capacity or this ability to benefit others. So therefore, we should start to enter this great scope and think about attaining enlightenment for the benefit of sentient beings. Okay. Okay, so we've got three divisions here. We've got the thinking about bodhicitta. Then there's the two divisions of actualizing the bodhicitta. There's aspiring and engaging. Didn't you? No. And then lapcha mara. So Jewa Sum. Di mana? Di mana? These songs Sangha Sam Choa Jangjub System and Diligi Lapcha. Right, and he can. So this sum you're So okay. Alright, sorry. So it is this thinking, this aspiring bodhicitta, engaging bodhicitta. Or the thinking about bodhicitta is engaging bodhicitta and then the advice regarding bodhicitta. Yeah.
Advice on bodhicitta.
Yeah, this song got it.
sim kare sin.
This the Yawasum Karere.
Chanju sim. Ju chimbe nam na me yawar.
Yeah, the Yawa Karere Karere.
Yawar ta ri kale lewa.
Okay. All right, yeah. I think we're on the same page here. What's this? Nibajua, yeah. So it's like Sambay Janji just thinking about Bodhi just on the thought process, engaging, and then the advice. Okay, we'll get it sorted, don't worry. Right.
Same case, tango, simple tamje, Sanjay Gomato, same summer gable, your same tango. Another penal, Lagaro chicken, I love John Chair, and I lega chicken. And it's Shindu lega chicken, some time. Shindu lega drona, and lega chena, General Lajarado. Tango, my lega chicken is some madan and the lega de Chival Jugumaro. Tango, Genashi, Jibuchi Gana lega, Halichena, Tango, some much tango. Dinashi, Tango. Simple Tamje, the Sanjay Gomato, chicken is same joy.
So this. Yeah. Okay, so there's a process to developing this bodhicitta, as with anything. If you want to engage in any kind of activity, first you need to kind of think about it, how to develop this motivation, make this intention to think, yes, I'm going to do this, and then after that you'll actually engage in the activity. Without setting up this thought process in the beginning, you can't just go out and do something, right? Because you won't have this intention. So this is why, you have this process. At first you think, okay, I should attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. This is something I need to do. And once you've cultivated that, then you actually can put it into action. So this is, as with all activities, we have the same process. So it's the same with developing bodhicitta.
다 통마매번에 통마매번에 수술을 떼어 제대요. 수술을 거리 좀 진조지. 아니 마 동의도 와 심지어도 상마 배 동의냐지 되셨어. 아니 심지어도 상마 동의냐대도 아니 란디지 시자도 땅 하나 타월에 터야 배서 제대는 다디 디그면도 봐. 이 제가 지금 당기 시험나 시리 수술 거리 진이 밤마디게 동의냐지 되셔. 제가 밤마디게 동의를 태워지 지금도 대체 심지어 담제 동의를 태워치도 아니면 산지 고마토와 지구도 세상담이나 대네 찬주 쌤게 제사 주에서 남녀의 전송을.
So we get on to verse 10 here. When your mothers, who have loved you since time without beginning, are suffering, what use is your own happiness? Therefore, to free limitless living beings, develop the altruistic intention. This is the practice of the bodhisattvas. So, beings who since beginningless time have had all these relationships with, like being our mothers and so forth, and have this incredibly shown much kindness and love to us, these beings are all suffering, right? Undergoing the various sufferings of samsara. So, if we now would just think about our own welfare and think, it's just about me attaining my own individual liberation, then this would be like, that's unsuitable to do that. It's not, that's kind of a bit crazy, really. So therefore, you should change that motivation and think that in order to help all these beings who have shown me all this kindness since beginning this time, therefore, I need to attain the state of full enlightenment in order to be able to benefit them. And that's when you enter this great scope practice.
쌤 기억나는 게 되고 말아. 내가 심지단지 산지 고마토와 지. 산지 고마토와 지와라. 다 갈래자고 그러네. 좋아. 다니와 좋아 찬주 쌤 좀 봐라. 니 고소 찬주 쌤좀 봐다.
Right.
찬주 쌤좀 와서 이제 니시 어디다.
So just thinking about it though is not enough. Like just thinking, I want to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, that actually won't get you to enlightenment. You need to actually engage in the activities that are required to attain the state of enlightenment. So it's through this then one enters this engaging bodhicitta. So that process from going through this intention into an engaging bodhicitta, that's how that comes about.
당보다 최대적 심지 탐지 시대는 사제 고마 토치기 상무들 레벨라 아주 경험도 셰야게 니 주례 명아 되는 거네 로자야당 니 다신냠지 이거는 로자야 스타단다디 또 다신냠지 로자단디 셰게요 단다데로 봐
Bechidina. Okay. So when we talk about this conventional bodhicitta or relative bodhicitta, this intention that to attain a state of enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, then there's two main methods that are used for developing this. This is this 7-point mind training, or the 6 cause and 1 effect, and the other one is this equalizing and exchange self for others. So this text primarily focuses on this equalizing and exchange self for others. Tommy Samba Nalanda Kibara?
말은 좀 상무 그
Oh yeah, Purpura.
야갈 페요
Yeah.
규가리다 베네수로 냠냠 다시 냠지 있다다 냠내더니가 난 거예요 단다디 디나라 또 다시 냠지도 마스 그래서 무슨 도면 상고라다 냠내 상만한 거예요 막 빼져 마시요 다시 냠지
Dogme Samba was, as a Tibetan master, he was familiar with obviously he was familiar with both the techniques of exchange of self for others and 6 cause and 1 effect, but in this text particularly he focused on this practice of exchange of self for others.
아니 마신 진소
Okay.
와 심지단지랑 마치뉴 마신은 거리 들어가 수준의 거리 지금 하고
repay
아니 거리 진다 진소 수준의 주편도 진이나 파편도 제거로 진소 마신 진소 아니 유원 참바서야 돼 비전하는 디시에 아마 야고지라고 했다. 아마 야고지. 나딩사 아마 담은데 열어. 아마 야고지를 붙이려면은 아마디 수술 부디 저번 연부체는 아마디 야고 통과라. 아마디 왜 부패야고 이래서 지나시기 심지고 왜요? 만들 심지 탐제래. 이용비. 그 롱된 자리잖아요. 수술 세마를 거치 탄도 배 야고지니 상모도 되시고 왜요? 대배디 이용 참말해야 돼. 배디 데려다 배디 데려. 아마 야고지를 부지려면은 부부들 참모지가 부부들 아마라 자리자 쉬지나 아마 롱는 거 지나시 가서 semje 탐제가 지나시 그 사람들이 깨고 용어 참말라도 어디 시고다.
So this we go through this 7-point mind training. So the first thing is to see all beings of our mothers, remember their kindness, then to repay that kindness. So this, obviously, if somebody's kind to you, you give back, right? And then from that wish to repay the kindness comes this attitude of genuine loving kindness, right? So this example of this is a mother for her only child. Like obviously, we're talking about like a good mother, right? These days, you can find examples of people who may not be the best parents, but if it's a good mother and they only have one child, they always see the positive aspects of the child and they always put the child's welfare above their own. And even in situations where the child might mistreat them or be negative to them, they never get angry. They always just feel more love and more compassion for the child. So this is the kind of loving kindness that we're talking about here.
미신기 동네 통한테 아디 동네들 대화도 제가 삼을 내리면서 가르스는 거서 이원 참아요 말. 막 찍내지. 이년은 그래서 까지 뭐 연배도 하고 고요 말아.
Right.
대화면 자리에 걸어 같이나 제 나가지 뭐. 이 뭐.
And then naturally if we have this kind of awareness of the kindness of others and this loving kindness to them, then naturally when we see them suffering, will naturally arise compassion, right? The reason that we can see the suffering of others and not arise compassion is because of the fact that we don't have this appreciation for their kindness, right? We don't understand the kindness of others. We don't have this genuine loving kindness towards them. So therefore, if we did have this and we saw their suffering, then of course, naturally would arise this compassion for them. But because we don't have this connection to them, then we don't arise this compassion. So okay. So sorry, compassion. I didn't say compassion was the first one. So then this great compassion comes about, where one has this wish to free all sentient beings from their suffering. This intention to free all sentient beings from their suffering. And then when one takes this as one's own responsibility, then this becomes what's called the special intention, right? When one takes that as one's own responsibility, that becomes a special intention, and that's number 6. So that's the 6th cause. Those are the 6 causes, and then comes the one effect. So is that, just to say, has everybody got the 6 causes? So seeing all beings as one's mother, remembering their kindness, wishing to repay their kindness, then loving kindness, then compassion, then great compassion, right?
Compassion. Love, genuine love, genuine compassion.
Yeah, okay, like genuine love. So the
great compassion
Jamba, so Jamba shi, right?
You want Jamba?
Ni ngapa? Dini trukpa?
Paksan.
So dini okay, so Tamba this truk karire.
Machine, Tinso, you want Jamba, Ninja Chimbo, Paksan truk. One, two, three, four. Oh, right. I've left out Laksam. That's why. Okay, sorry. I'm getting confused here. Yeah, no, I wrote it down wrong. I was getting my brain got mixed up. Okay, so you need double coffee.
Yeah, I need a double coffee.
Too much coffee.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, okay. So remembering all beings are our mothers. Remembering their kindness, recognizing all beings are our mothers, remembering their kindness, the wish to repay their kindness, then genuine loving kindness, then compassion and great compassion, and then special intention.
Great compassion.
Okay, so forget about compassion, just go straight to great compassion. Just no compassion, we just won't bother, we'll just go straight for great compassion. Right.
Oh, president la duwe. Oh, billionaire la duwe. Oh, millionaire la duwe. Yo mare. Koran zaman dungi ngonje. Dewa. 아니 다스죠. 혼자 다 산제라. 다 산제나. 지도고도 가르 로바 컨데 치고라서나. 어서 탐란 된 컨데 심이 강에는 신기하고 신지상을 아니. 어디 저는 심 강에 대비 유진들이 탐란 대 치고라서 셔야돼. 아니 컨데 쌤 스스로 냠는 셔야 신지. 동네에서나 탐란 역시 대르비지 지금. 딜레 하고 동네에서 탐란 요만다. 좋아. 제가는 심지 탐제시 중에 산지 공부하고 지금 누구세요? 달래서 심지.
So once you've got the special intention, thinking, well, it's my responsibility to help all sentient beings to give them this freedom or help them to be free from their suffering. But if you look at reality of the situation, like, well, from my side anyway, I'm too useless to even help myself, right? So what chance have I got to help anybody else? So then you need to look at it and think, well, who has this ability to benefit others? Does an Arhat have this potential? Does the president have this? Does Donald Trump have this potential? Does somebody with a lot of money like Bill Gates have this potential? A billionaire, or somebody extremely wealthy, or somebody extremely famous? If we look at the situation, well, do any of these people really have the ability to really free all sentient beings from all their suffering? So, if we look at it honestly, the answer is no. The only person, not the person, the only beings who have this ability are fully enlightened Buddhas. So, therefore, we need to generate this intention to attain the state of enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. And then this comes the seventh one, which is, so we've gone through the 6 causes. Then there's the one result, which is the mind of bodhicitta, this altruistic intention to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings.
다데 군조 chanju sem세디 당보 로바다 쩌마 쩌마 상 먼저 상무단에 차고도나 semje tin이 상 차고 말이야. 쩌마 많이 봤어요. 쩌마 많이 봤어요. 배나 먼저 죽어도디 칼라 남산 튕기도 먼저 죽어도나 남산 칼라 튕기도 칼라 그 튕고 온다. 배전 치고 온다. 어디나시 쩌마서도 그 배전 치고 상무단 겨 군조 chanju semji 문에 되잖아. 상로 뜸에 semji 탐제시 동안 산지 고마 도지. 나 semji 탐제 된지고 되지도 말람 공부다. 개와치야라 배심만에 되어 가서 배심만 마슈요. 먼저 단다 레지 시we 용도 가서는 되어 말 먼저 여도 차 내가 심나가 되어 말 미신이 된다 지야게 파산도 요 말. 매드잖아. 먼저 레지디 뭐였다. 나 chanju sem만 레지 제 말. semji 된지야 가다 쳐야
Alright, so then when we talk, this is of course we're talking about relative bodhicitta here. But then within that you have again 2 types. You have contrived and uncontrived bodhicitta, relative bodhicitta. So when we look at this contrived bodhicitta, we can't really say this is genuine bodhicitta, right? Because this comes about through effort. Like you have to through thinking again and again, then this mind of bodhicitta arises. But uncontrolled bodhicitta comes spontaneously. Like just like if we're really hungry, immediately we think about food, right? Like it's not like we think we got to eat. Like just that comes. Now we don't have to, think about the benefits of eating food and then go through these 7 steps of why we need to eat food. Just naturally, like our food, our wish to eat food comes about. So uncontrolled bodhicitta is like this. Right? And because these bodhisattvas have that, this is why they're always able to work for others, right? They never get tired, they never get put off. For us, we do a little bit and then we're tired and we're bored and we're like frustrated and then we get angry. But for them, they're always full of joy because their minds are always spontaneously focused on the benefit of others. And therefore, this gives them some incredible happiness and energy.
다시냠지 보면야돼 답이진들리기로 다시냠지 있으데 다 신기동에 수일에 랑도 팔레인데 파당인데 동에 셀레인데 닝지기 미버제 치고라 동에 다시냠지 시데 저자로 신기동에 수일레인데 동에도 전도게 자와시데 닝지 첨부 냠는 체용거래 내가 전도게 참바체데 니 참바상당거래 나도 니라 ngewa mar sangsala ningjing la samata sangsala dewa de ngela dan de chamba de ngela dan dungi de jele ngwa ra ko ni dosi jojam ngwa ande junde mema de la yuwan chamba ngela do so chamba ngela do so ta da신 냠제 la 지난 그럼 요 말 sangsala ninji chamba ngela de chamba jele chamba ngela samdan jele de 먼저 되게
Right.
신지 동에 전도에 상담은 닝제게 미고제 신지 동에네 대화 전도에 참배 미고제 들래 아데 도스체네 근데 다시 냠질 시도 딱 배대 대랍 첨부시 지도하면도 하고 딱 배제고 자고라 먼저 되게 먼저 있는 수세 젠디 치고라 마시 한진디 치고라 딱 신제버 진샤로 근데 신지 동에는 수일에 랑 대화 파다는데 신지 동에 수일에는데 닝제 미고제 되는 거예요 그래서
Right. So when we talk about this practice of equalizing the exchange of others, then this practice of loving kindness and compassion are practiced simultaneously. So in the 7-point mind training, this practice of loving kindness comes before the practice of great compassion. But in exchange for others, they come simultaneously because when you're doing this exchange for others, when you're thinking about taking on the suffering of others, then of course you're practicing compassion. And when you're thinking about giving away your happiness and roots of virtue and so forth to others, then you're thinking about loving kindness, and so you sort of switch between them in this practice of exchanging yourself for others. When you're exchanging your happiness for the suffering of others, you kind of go back and forth between loving kindness and compassion, loving kindness and compassion. So as you do this practice, but it's because unfortunately it works against our natural instincts. Our natural instinct is the self-cherishing attitude. So when we do this practice of exchange of self for others, we're trying to reverse that thinking about me happiness, my happiness, and not wanting suffering, and trying to think about giving our happiness to others and taking on the suffering of others is tries to combat or as an antidote to this attitude of self-cherishing. Kunzab Jangjuji Sim Gomba, Tondam Jangjuji Sim Gomba Dimara. Okay, right. Tambula Namshak du Takshinje Jetub du. Alright, okay. So with this relative bodhicitta, so there's the meditation on relative and then ultimate bodhicitta. With this relative bodhicitta, there's two divisions. Namdak tu Takshinje Go. So the meditation, during the practice of meditation, the actual meditation session, the exchange of self for others, and then in the post-meditation session, taking the Kenyan, like the bad conditions or the negative conditions onto the path. Lam tu gyu. You're literally transforming, taking or transforming these negative conditions into the path or onto the path.
아니 산지 공반디 근데 정말은 현재와 집에심 장주 심들이 현배 현재와 집에심들이 총벌했어. 경제인데 인상 아니게다. 나다 신기 동에 다시 냠제 다 라진지다 시진진 냠내디 다 지금 예서 책디 돈다듯이 뭐가.
예. So this verse number 11, all suffering comes from the wish for your own happiness. Perfect Buddhas are born from the thought to help others. Therefore exchange your own happiness for the suffering of others. This is the practice of the Bodhisattvas. So all the suffering we experience, all the difficulties, problems and so forth comes from this attitude of self-cherishing. Whereas all the good, positive aspects, right up, temporary and ultimate, right up to full enlightenment, come from this attitude of cherishing others. So therefore, like basically exchange this self for others, or the self-cherishing attitude for the attitude of cherishing others. So this is the advice for the meditation session. So when you're sitting like this, then this is what you think about. Yeah. Right. So when you become a bit more familiar with this idea of exchanging self for others, then you can start to do this giving and taking practice, or this Tonglen practice. So then you actually, once you have some familiarity, you can combine this with your breathing. So as you breathe in, you take on the suffering of all sentient beings, and as you breathe out, you give away your happiness and roots of virtue and so forth. So then this way you combine this practice of exchange of self for others with you combine it with the breath. And this becomes this practice of Tonglen, or giving and taking.
Tema jansi samsala thangbo tsui dan di dungi tsui len ra. Samsala ya pa dan tsui dan da di kandres chenan di yor. Dongli nipo pema jansi kandres sam dan di yor. Thangbo kashi u pa dan ya gozu tsui tian ya di jil chi ra. Ashe tsui tian pa dan ya di gozu yor ra.
Oh, okay.
Di gyong yong ma.
Right.
Kari
It's actually pretty simple. I don't know why I was like. Anyway, so it doesn't matter which one you start with, right? Like you can start with the breathing out and giving away your happiness, and then breathe in and take on the suffering, or you can start with breathing in and taking on the suffering, and then breathing out and giving away your happiness. Like it doesn't matter. There's no like right way to which one to start with. It's either one's fine.
데데 삼다나 야고요래 봐. 삼데스다나 당보 수순에 삼당 오래스 당보 와 당보 답당 uk수 타야네 고조 만들어.
Right.
수단지 배낭 하러에 나갈 해피 바요. 아 삼단다. 아 아니 파단지 땅에 해피 메일 차서 삼다.
Right.
아 산인지 가요. 산인지에 해피 바 주된 산이 파면 요새 도도. 안데 내 수수 동에 탐제 메었어요. 아니 수수 동에 탐제 매워 차도 수수기를 디지 용거로 봐. 어때 디지지 열어다. 디지지 열었다. 아니 되네 수수 틸레 얘기. 와다 먼저 또 디페션 얘기들 열어 봐. 그래서 상담. 상담인데 야고도 수수. 캘고도 상담이 돼. 평균 한 먹어. 아 상담. 근데 와 상담 뭐다. 되네 수수 빈자도 상담. 또 선생님 탐제 상담. 근데 쟤도 나자데 라로다. 거스밍 루어라 지금 샘디 영로데 나자데 라로 나자데 거는 심샤는 나자데 쳐르쳐 두고다 제가도 콜라 삼는다나 코 도르도로다 아고 동네 제데데 샘디 영로라 거 샘제 담제라 동네 아니 샘제 신다게 동네도 통하는 게 아데다 개개 말아라 개개 말아 미망고 동네 독자 싶네요 다 드제 동네는 아 동네 개개 말에 삼다데 수수 동네도 매워라고 나오셔
Right. So when you think about this, you can build up to the practice, right? Or there's stages you can do the practice. I guess this is, you can start with yourself and taking your own suffering and so forth. I guess this is he has problems with hay fever, so sometimes he thinks about this, right? And then like when you've practiced that to the point where you can do like your mind's peaceful and you can handle like your own suffering. Then you start to think about others and taking on their suffering, and it's good to use individual people that you know, like people you're close with, and you can take on the sufferings of individuals like you could, you could use Kelly as an example and take it, and doesn't know if it helps or not, but it helps your mind to take on the suffering of others and then give away your happiness to them. And then so you think about the people you're close to, the relatives and people you're connected with who you know experience suffering, and in this way when you can do that, it actually your own problems, it can eradicate your own suffering or problems. So for example, because your mind initially just by focusing on something else, like if you're always focused on your own problems, they only seem to get bigger, but when you focus on something else like the suffering of others, then your own problems get put in like perspective, and naturally because of that they become smaller, and eventually like you start to think that like a small problem that I might have compared to the suffering of others is nothing, and then your suffering's gone. Right. And also when you think about cause and effect, right? Like you think, well, what suffering I'm experiencing now, whatever sickness or whatever suffering I'm experiencing now, this is the result of my previous negative karma that I've created. So because of this experience now, I'm now freed from that karmic debt or that karma that I have. So this is very fortunate, like you should really be happy about being freed from this negative karma. So if you experience suffering as an animal or something, then you don't have any faculties to be able to free yourself or deal with the suffering, right? So as human beings, you should feel very fortunate to be suffering as a human being, because now we have these methods and these techniques to be able to free ourselves from the suffering, or at least, even if we can't do that, the way to relate to it in a way that allows us to, deal with it on a mental level. So we should feel very happy we're experiencing this suffering as a human. Oh, one sec, where are we? Is this one? Okay. So we got a whole bunch here for the next one. So the post-meditation session, taking the unfavorable conditions is probably the best word, onto the path. So there's the unwanted phenomena, or four unwanted phenomena. Okay, so first we'll talk about the 4 verses on unwanted phenomena. So, yeah.
수술 미디어인데 여기 미신다 수술 나올 공주한테 구마죠. 원시체 초과. 아니 배 미신다가 초도 죽는데 전에 수술 아니 배 롱주로인데 미신다가 구비네. 아주 배 파 공부라 르 당제와 대상마세 수술 르 롱주 계좌도서 선생님 신당제가 파 뭐지야지 계좌 신주 선배 이 락레레서
Right, so verse 12, even if someone out of strong desire steals your wealth or has it stolen, dedicate to him your body, possessions, and your virtue, past, present, and future. This is the practice of bodhisattvas. So if somebody directly steals from us out of their attachment, or convinces or forces or somebody else to steal from us, rather than reacting in a negative mind and feeling anger towards them or so forth, then as a bodhisattva, you should, not only dedicate the possessions you stole, but giving all your possessions, your body, and not only that, your virtue and your roots of virtue. It says here past, present, and future. So if you dedicate all of this to him, this is the practice of a bodhisattva. Right. So we've covered this in the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, a guide to a bodhisattva's way of life, the generosity chapter, that you give your wealth, body, possessions, and roots of virtue to others. This is what you. So those of you who attended this class should understand this, should be able to understand it easily.
History.
Right.
Hebrew Baptist is one time some tip over.
Thief, yeah.
Tip come, I give you a little bit of holiday.
Okay. I'll just chill over here.
You're tired.
I'll just chill out.
Did you one time and some strolling come in Tibet. He lived in the capital.
Yeah.
And some strolling he possession, right?
Yeah.
Step. And then little bit ago, and he said, wait. Some lived there, some the carpet live. You take this, And so go this way. If you go this way, the country people knows this is the country people offering me. They recognize this. Then you
beat you.
You beat you. You go this way, then you nothing obstacle. You go this way. He show this is practice around it.
Right, so this was an example of the prayer. You understood the story? Mm-hmm. Okay, so just Togme Sangpa was meditating in a cave, right? And all these villagers had given him all these offerings of stuff, right? Because they knew he was this meditator. So he had all this stuff in his cave. And then these thieves came and they stole it all. But as they were leaving, he sort of said, oh, no, wait, you forgot to take the carpet, right? So he gave them the carpet. And then he said, well, don't go this way, because if you go to the right direction, you'll come to the village. and they'll recognize all the stuff that you took from me and they'll beat the crap out of you. So you might as well go this way, and then there's nobody there and you'll get away scot-free. So he was like giving the thieves advice on how to get away with all his stuff.
I made some retreat in Dharamsala, India. Made retreat on his friend. And he said he never closed his door all the time. He opened door and he go somewhere and he put the letter. If you what you want food, they have this food. He give excellence, you know. He give this. If someone want money is there. He give everything detail. Give detail letter. And I saw 2 months like that. I said, funny, you know. Nobody is stealing this person. Stealing Mediterranean. He's logging, you know. Chazara. Funny, there's 2 months open door, you want to take my money is there, you want this rice is there, and then there, you know, clothes there, you know, he give exactly explain, you know, put that. Nobody is stealing. A Mediterranean guy, he closed door 2 times. And he said, I want to back this. He opened there, he said, nobody is stealing. I thought, people have the insect people. This down did not come stealing, you know. Open door. Open door is monkey comes. Monkey, everything is making a mess. This is a big problem.
Yeah, monkeys are big problem.
Monkey mare pasad chumbujo.
Yeah, these like snow monkeys. I mean, if you've been to Dharamsala, you're familiar with them. They're basically like white. They're real cool to look at, but mate, and they're really timid. Like the actual little monkeys are they're real aggressive, but these big white monkeys, they're real, but yeah, if they get inside your house, man, it's all over.
One time, he has story. He checked. They're offering about the chocolate, biscuit. They are only storing chocolate and biscuit, and he does this is cheating. You know, he's not really at all right.
Yeah.
And he bought more chocolate and biscuit. And he put the letter. If you want more chocolate and this, please you leave name. I send you your. There's a TCB is down there. You don't need to come.
Right.
Yeah. And then one day he went and they one day then come. Gishila. Did you read this letter? He said, yeah, I am in this. This is really funny, you know. And he gave a little bit of money and he said, no storing is no good. If you want it, you're asking me or asking other people, this is good. He teaches. Finally, they become very, you know, students, teacher like that, you know. They're very close. Quite often come, he's there. And then he lived order and he said, Kienla and me connections. I'm stealing, then we have connection. He said, he wrote this letter. He looked at this letter thinking, should I talk or should I not talk? Or he thinking, 3 months he holding this letter. And he checked who is in there, and he knows this man. And he showed, you know, this send me this is your letter, you know. And he made it tell that you are this storing biscuit, yes. And he give how many human he give little bit of money. You know, still also they become friends, you know. It's funny, you know. Interesting story. And one time very funny, you know. And Mary Jo got some 1,000 rupees. 1,000 is that time huge, you know. And now gone, 1,000 gone. And he thought maybe this story, this boy, you know, he asked him, do you want some money? Yeah, I want money. You need more money? Yes, I need more money. And maybe he stole my 1,000 rupees, you know. And for 4 years after he rebuilt his house. And mouse, he take money make mouse making his money making mouse house. He said, I'm making 3 years bad karma. He said, never blame you people, you know, if you're not clear, not plan, no decision, just making dollars better. He making, this person, he's stealing 1,000, he 3 years holding. He making bad karma, you know, he nothing stealing, you know. The mouse take his money, making mouse house. And then then Switzerland cousin, he all talk, and he making top, make. And he got 950 rupees gone, 950, he got money. Then the bank in the bank gave new one, you know. He put one check, and then he fixed Switzerland cousin. He got 950 rupees gone, you know, gone maybe eating or something gone missing. Funny story. He has a very funny story. One time he stolen this sand. And he good guess. He said, "Oh, maybe this is Indian people story. Indian people likes God, and he has shawl and this thing. And Tibetan people not stolen with Chamba, you know, maybe India. And then quite often stolen he is this, and he put India the Dungsum, the Indian people to prayer, you know, the Dungdo, this one.
Like
Shiva.
like this trident.
Yeah, he put there. Then never people come there. Indian people a little bit uphill there. And I said, what about this? He said, this is protect our Indian story. He has the Dungjesum, right?
Yeah, this trident. You know, Shiva has this trident. Yeah.
He is, yeah, now this Indian people are storing. Funny. Lots of story. He has a funny story experience. Oh, we stop here now.
Okay.